Another significant liquidation event follows another day in the cryptocurrency market. In the last hour, we saw the liquidation of cryptocurrency longs totaling $500 million. In essence, this has escalated to over $1 billion since it occurred earlier today. Yes, exactly. We have now lost more than $170 billion in the market, following the market's $1 billion in liquidations. Here, Bitcoin drops below $110,000, the cryptocurrency market loses $170 billion. The cryptocurrency market saw a steep plunge on the 25th, wiping out over $170 billion in capitalization. Bitcoin fell as low as 107.8K before leveling off at 109, down 3.7% for the day. Additionally, Ethereum dropped nearly 8% to 38, around 3,900, which led to over $1 billion in liquidations, mostly from long holdings on exchanges like Bit and Nance. And when we consider this correctly, the primary point is that September is usually a bad month for cryptocurrency anyhow. However, we've been in a cycle where everyone says, okay, well that's your problem. The crypto world is ending. Crypto is finished. The market is at its peak. A bear market is about to begin. And this is something that we have been addressing since about January of this year. Everyone is saying that this is over, but it has been going on for 8 months. Oh no, we're back in full force. Then it's already returning to the notion that, oh, it's over again. Since Bitcoin and Ethereum have accounted for the majority of the market's gains, let's take another look at this market. Indeed, we have seen some encouraging growth from a few older coins, such as XRP, HBAR, XLM, and a few others. However, this is based on the year, correct? As I mentioned earlier, there have undoubtedly been many outliers during the year. But these annual improvements are 12 months, 300%, or even 400%. For example, these cryptocurrency increases aren't all that extraordinary. We're not looking for 400% gains in a year during alt season. In a week or 2 weeks, we're looking at gains of about 400%. We simply haven't seen alt season at scale yet, and that's what I've been trying to really convey to a lot of folks. Examining this every day. It's a sea of crimson indeed. Many ancient coins are declining on a daily basis, such as Flares, which are down 15.1%, and Avalanche, which is down 11.9%. IP is down more than 28% on a weekly basis, while Aster is down 7%. It's also a deep sea of red. Here, there aren't many outliers. For instance, ZEC and even Aster. Beyond that, however, the market is really a vast expanse of red Bitcoin that is currently hovering around 109K Ethereum down to roughly 3,900 XRP at $2.75. For example, if we're looking at HBAR 21 cents, that's about XLM 35 cents. The old coin market hasn't actually seen a lot of movement, you know. I am aware that there have occasionally been some notable dips. However, we would like to observe that some old coins are still holding up fairly well. However, if you look at Bitcoin, this is how it has looked over the past month. We have been closely monitoring this, and as of right now, we are still maintaining higher lows here. The chart currently looks like this. As you are all aware, a couple levels holding were what I was examining. About between 109.6 and 111.4. That might be removed from the chart. That was not what we held. The good news is that, despite these August lows, we are still retaining a higher low structure. Now, if we do witness a loss of those lows, we should be ready for it. The best thing about this is that we are prepared for this next significant shift if we have been hoarding stablecoins on the sidelines or stacking them. The primary focus here is that I'm considering tapping the 104-106 level. If we see this, and once more, a loss of these lows determines everything. There should be a noticeable decline into these blue zones if we break these lows. It would be fantastic if we could hold the demand zone, sometimes known as the first blue zone. A significant rebound is beginning to appear. In essence, this move would be somewhat similar to the one that occurred back here in June. just before that fantastic bullish July. We had that first sell-off, you know. Everybody believes this to be the bottom. Despite failing to make a higher high, we are aware that we have a good little jump to the upside. After that, we cut and produce a lower low. After that, we begin to break upward, make a higher low, chop, boom, and make a higher high. That's precisely what we should be focusing on here if we want to make a lower bottom. We should begin making a higher high based on this September high, which is approximately 118K. And it would enable us to reach a new peak of almost 130K on this chart, but only if we maintain these lows. In the event that we do not, and we go much lower, I would be examining the next zone, which is between 94 and 97.9K. We might even be able to drop a little. Listen, we could potentially close this fair value gap down here on a daily basis if we go below 90K. I apologize, but that would be between 88.4K and 91.8K, or about 100. Furthermore, that wouldn't be a major issue. It remains a macro higher low in reality. This would enable us to maintain that strong push. However, based on past instances of capitulation, such as in April, I don't want to see us go that far, and I don't believe we do so in any case. Our RSI is presently at those April lows after all. Therefore, the first contend that we need to be toward the bottom here. We're going to see some serious market pain if I'm mistaken, which I very certainly might be. So, I'm definitely keeping an eye on things to see if this will be our low point. Now, XRP is the major topic that I'm sure everyone is also interested in. We'll talk about it in a moment. The problem is that the market as a whole will benefit greatly if Bitcoin does maintain current lows. Nonetheless, we sincerely hope that Ethereum makes a significant comeback. This is what the hour looks like when you quickly glance at this chart. We're beginning to see a nice little impulse of movement here if I toss this on the 3-hour. But it's not that big. Considering this on a daily basis, it would be more realistic if we looked at the chart on TradingView, which is a little bit more accurate. I am aware of how tough CoinMarketCaps can be. Yes, we have already tapped this first blue zone. This corresponds to approximately 3,700 to 3,959. At the moment, we are trading at 3,959. Down here, I do have this deep blue zone as well. I would prefer that we stay away from this, you know. By the way, this bottom one is on a higher time frame. These April lows are the primary Ethereum daily that I'm examining, but I'm also taking a look at the RSI. The RSI has just dropped to its lowest level since the cycle's lowest point in April, right? The April bottom was what made it possible for us to reach the current position on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even XRP. If this is Ethereum's bottom, which it most well might be, then let's return to the 12-hour. Considering the 12-hour RSI, it is the most oversold period of the cycle since April, even on the 4-hour segment. Returning to April once more, in fact, we're oversold now more than we were in April. I apologize when we examine a lower time frame structure. Let me return to the moment when we were examining the lower time frame structure on Ethereum. Our primary aim, particularly on the daily, is to reverse the prior support. We intend to build a floor on this property and flip $4,073. You know, ideally simply moving slightly sideways, constructing a floor, and then moving on upward. This trend line still needs to be broken. We most likely refused at first before overcoming it. After that, we may aim for a new record high that would date back to 2021. Additionally, that would be on the higher time frame view or support. Therefore, the most important issue here is that we must and do want to see a little bit more from Ethereum. Friday is almost here. By the time this video goes live, it is officially Friday.